Welcome, everyone, to Mayhemtainment, Episode 7. I am joined by my guest, Dave Roos from America's Tribune, and we are going to talk about the NFL and where it's at in Week 14. Check out americastribune.com, and they're also on Twitter and Facebook. Give them a like, give them a subscribe, check out some of their content as well. Marcus Frederiksen plays us in. Make sure you check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen, and share out your favorite songs using the hashtag #TheHumankind and hashtag #NormalizeTheGood. And check out The Humankind on Facebook and pick up some apparel from him. And, of course, you can follow Mayhemtainment. We're on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook.com/Mayhem Media Inc., YouTube.com/@Mayhem Media Inc. And just search Mayhem Media on Rumble and you can find us. Dave, welcome back to Mayhemtainment. This is your second episode for football that you're joining me on, and things have certainly changed a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, buddy.
The Eagles are 12-1. We're going to talk a little bit more about them later.
Yeah, the Eagles have been they've been on fire this year. They're unstoppable. The big game coming up I want to see is Dallas.
Yeah, that'll be those two will have a really great match. Dallas has been doing really good, and they should be. They're a better team than their record reflects. Also, even at 10-3, I mean, but with the Eagles at 12-1 and the Cowboys at 10-3,
somebody probably should have told the Houston Texans that. The Houston Texans, being the absolute worst team in the league, almost beat the Cowboys this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Cowboys are not. They have some problems yet. They have a great record, but and their talent's been winning them games, but they're by no means on point yet. The Texans proved that, almost knocking them off this week. And yes, the Texans 1-11 and one tie is not what you want for a franchise. That they're in trouble.
Well, they got some really good pieces that they can work with. Plus, they're going to have the number 1 pick in the draft next year.
Yes, they're certainly going to have the number 1 pick. Speaking of this franchise, though, that used to not do good, that is turning things around, the Lions. Where the hell do they come from?
Man, yeah, they're one of my favorite teams right now.
At 6-7, yeah. I mean, their record doesn't. I mean, they're still having some problems. They got some issues worked out, but I think next season the Lions could actually be a contender. They could make a playoff run.
Oh, and for the Lions, beware! He just played in his first game. Their rookie wide receiver, Jameson Williams. That dude is insane. He caught his first NFL pass for a 40-yard touchdown. He is lightning in a bottle. He should have been the number 1 pick coming out. Hurt himself, dropped a little bit, and now he's playing. He is, when I say number 1 pick, he should have been the first wide receiver taken, but Drake London was taken by the Falcons before Jameson Williams came off the board. But Jameson Williams, that dude, he's a polished route runner as well as lightning in a bottle. So if they continue this streak with Jared Goff and Jared Goff starts lighting it up over there, look out for the Lions next year, man.
Yeah, I like Jared Goff. I think he's a good quarterback. That's why I didn't understand why the Rams wanted Stafford and were willing to give up Goff. I actually felt bad for Goff going to the Lions. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just going to suck the remaining talent right out of him. But they got a really good head coach over there.
Did you see who was quarterbacking the Rams this weekend?
No, I did not.
Oh my goodness, it was probably one of the best games I've watched in my entire life, outside of some of the Super Bowls that I've watched the Patriots in. This was absolutely phenomenal. Baker Mayfield was yes, Baker Mayfield. Now check this out. Here's the storyline on it. Baker Mayfield was traded from Carolina to the Rams 2 days before the game.
Yeah.
He went through their playbook on the plane, trying to learn this playbook just in case he had to start. And don't you know, the dude only got to throw about 20 passes, and then they just threw him out before a huge crowd. It was absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of the best games I've ever seen, because Baker, you know, he had a few mistakes in the game, but kind of Baker-esque. But the game was on the line, and there was 1 minute and 40 seconds left, and the Rams got the ball back down 6 points, and they had to go 98 yards with no timeouts. And I'll tell you what, I have that drive actually queued up right now if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, go ahead.
This drive was probably one of the best drives I've ever seen. It was vintage Tom Brady, but in Baker Mayfield's body. Here's what I got here. Let me see what I got.
Now, for you watching on this, it'll only show up on his half of the screen at the moment.
So here he goes.
Oh, that's a great pass down, all the way down. Yeah, that's smart play by the receiver. I love how the receivers have really gotten a lot smarter on these drives. Like, they no longer, remember back in the day, receivers would just toss the ball to the official or just throw it to the side or something.
Get it down.
Right. These guys, look at this. Mayfield is running this quick offense, having only looked at this playbook for a day.
I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, too. I think Baker Mayfield's a great quarterback. I can't believe Cleveland got rid of him for...
he was the number 1 pick in the draft a few years back. Look at that.
Yeah.
Boom. Right there, they tied the
picked
game.
Up Deshaun Watson and got rid of Baker Mayfield, Cleveland's.
Baker Mayfield was so hyped up.
This is impossible.
He was so high. Like Sean McVay almost jumped out of his skin on the sidelines. He was going absolutely bananas. Baker Mayfield went over to the sidelines, took his helmet off, and just started headbutting people.
Yeah, I did see the replay of that. He's just headbutting people without his freaking helmet on. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He was hyped.
Okay, I got a shot here at 1-on-1 to the left.
Look at that. What a read. Like, Baker Mayfield read that defense, watched the safety come over, cheated the wrong way, and that one-on-one was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. And Cleveland got Deshaun Watson. Check out an article on America's Tribune if you want to know about Deshaun Watson and his story, because I don't understand that at all. That was a terrible move for the organization. But it is great to see Baker Mayfield go somewhere that actually is going to use him and be able to, make something good with him, because he is a good quarterback, I think. And I think he's going to be good with the Rams with Sean McVay. I think Sean McVay and Baker Mayfield they're going to be contenders as well.
Yeah, I think they picked up Baker as a backup for Stafford, but who knows how long
Stafford? That's right. Yeah.
Who knows how long Stafford's going to be out, or Mayfield? I think they said Mayfield's going to take the start in this next game as well.
It would be smart. I mean, at least that way you give your guy, Stafford an extra week off. And Stafford, listen, I don't know about Stafford. I mean, he's been in Detroit. He's wasn't a bad quarterback, but did he spend too much time in Detroit? I don't know if he's going to turn it around. And I'm a Baker Mayfield fan. If I'm the Rams, I'm going with Baker.
Yeah, no, I've always loved Stafford. I've been a huge fan of Stafford. I thought all he had to do was go to another team that was that actually wanted to win.
Yeah. And I think it was just, I think Stafford being in Detroit, it just wasn't going to work there, whether it was the organization or whatever. The Lions needed something different. So it's great to see them winning.
That debate was pretty much settled last year when Stafford got a ring with the Rams.
Yeah.
And now he sells pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza, I mean.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield's no slouch with commercials either. He likes to, and he's good on them commercials too. Just like Peyton,
oh, yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks are really good at doing commercials.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there.
Let's talk about the playoffs quick here now. The Eagles are the only team that has clinched the playoffs at 12-1.
Yes.
And this is they're going seven teams again this year, so it'll be 7 teams from each conference going to the playoffs. The Eagles have clinched. Right behind them are the Vikings at 10-3. They'll likely make it. Mathematically, they haven't secured their playoff spot yet, but they'll likely make it. The Niners 9-4, and the Bucks somehow at because they're leading the NFC South. Whoa, the NFC South's in real shambles.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Oh man, the NFC East has got 3 teams. Has got 3 freaking teams, 4 teams at this moment right now. All 4 NFC East teams are in the playoffs.
Well, you have the Jets, who are just outside the playoffs.
The Jets.
They're on trouble.
Oh yeah, that's on the AFC side though.
Yeah.
On the the NFC side, that they're all 4 teams of the NFC East, if the season were to end right now, are going to the playoffs. An entire division going to the playoffs. And NFC South, the leader of that division is 6-7 with the Bucks. That's some weird stuff going on there.
The
AFC,
crazy. The Giants are actually the Giants are in the playoffs if the season ended today.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. All 4 NFC East teams. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
And Washington.
Yeah, I don't know if Dallas, Washington, New York, and Philly, all NFC East teams going to the playoffs. I don't know if that's ever happened before, but I don't think so.
And I'm sorry, but I'm calling Washington the Redskins. I am never, ever going to call them that new name.
The Cobra Commanders? I mean, the Commanders.
Yeah. They said it's racist. They said it's racist to call them the Redskins. But when they changed the name to the Commanders was the name of the group that actually came in and slaughtered all the Indians.
That's just ridiculous. And also, I would like to point out that, and I know this because I don't remember if I talked about it on another episode or if I did it in one of my articles on America's Tribune, but the person who was the mascot, the Indian who was on the Redskins helmet, was okay. He not volunteered. He got paid. He was, he became the mascot. And I
always thought it was
racist.
Chief Jay Strongbow.
Yeah, I don't think it's racist. I get that the term is a derogatory term. It's a term that people don't like. But I don't know. My opinion is of yours. I think the Redskins is what they should be called. I don't think changing the name is doing anything. I think it's just, woke bullshit. And if have kids watching this, you should send them to bed now. Because there's likely going to be a couple more
bombs
words dropped, depending on this conversation, where some of this goes. The AFC side, the Bills and the Chiefs, 10-3. They're both likely going to make it, obviously. The Ravens and the Titans.
Titans just got their butts kicked by the Jaguars.
Yeah, the Jaguars. They're on the bubble yet. They're not mathematically out of it. They're at 5-8. They need to do some more wins. I'm a Doug Peterson fan, which I'm going to also talk about later in regards to the Eagles. So I like that the Jaguars are doing good. The Dolphins, Tua is still hanging in there, man, after those terrible concussions that he had.
Yeah, he had a terrible game this past game against the Chargers. That game was being billed as Tua against who's the quarterback there for Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. Yeah.
Yeah, they both came out of the same draft, and Tua should have been absolutely phenomenal coming out of college if it wasn't for the injury.
Yeah.
And we've seen him, he's been injured a couple of times. But I'll tell you what, man, the Dolphins definitely made strides. They have 2 of the best wide receivers in the game with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, they do.
And who we're throwing to him? Man, just an unstoppable offense.
Yeah, I can't believe Miami's 8-5. Likely going to the playoffs. At least in one of the
Well,
wild
I'll
card
tell you
spots.
what,
Yet.
they got the sixth spot locked up right now, and the Patriots are right behind them. But I'll tell you what, the Dolphins got to play the Bills this week.
Yeah, that's a little rough there. The Bills. Josh Allen, man, Josh Allen.
Yeah,
He's
the Bills are a weird team.
yeah,
They got
Josh.
the one spot locked, but they're just a weird team. They should be a lot better, I think, than how they play.
Well, Josh Allen's a crazy. I mean, if they get some more talent around Josh Allen, they could really, really have a force. I think I agree with you what you're saying there about them, because Josh Allen's just a beast, and if they get him a little bit more support defensively tighten things up a little bit, they could really be a tough team to beat.
Yeah,
And I'm a Chiefs fan.
They definitely need a solid number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis isn't that bad, but it's definitely not what Tua is playing with in Miami. And it shows. I mean, Josh Allen, sometimes he has a really good passing game and sometimes he doesn't. Like this week, he only threw for like 150 yards, not even 147 yards and 1 touchdown. But what makes Josh Allen is he also ran for 47 yards and a touchdown. So,
Yeah. So, Josh Allen, and I'm a Chiefs fan also. Patrick Mahomes, I like Patrick Mahomes. They're also at 10-3. That's the AFC Championship right there. The Bills.
yeah.
And the Chiefs.
Oh my goodness, did you get to see that game?
I got to see some
Chiefs
of the
and the
Chiefs games,
Broncos?
but I didn't get to watch all of it.
Man, the Chiefs took off in the first half and just absolutely annihilated the Broncos. But I'll tell you what, they took their foot off the pedal and almost lost that game. They let the Broncos back in. Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions. It was crazy. And I'll tell you what, if they play like that in the playoffs, they're going to be bounced pretty quick.
Yep. It looks like I did win my fantasy game with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, but it wasn't quite enough to get me into the playoffs. So I missed the playoffs in terms of fantasy. But
I'll tell you what, they're running back there, Isaiah Pacheco. I love him. I love watching that dude run.
yeah, he's good. And I think that's what the Chiefs are lacking. I think they're lacking a good running back right now. They did lose Tyreek Hill, so they lost some of that speed. But I think by next season, I think Juju Smith-Schuster, who's on my top 5 list for coolest NFL names, is going to be a great target for Patrick Mahomes over these next couple seasons.
They got that other receiver there who's they got 2 decent receivers that are speed guys, but who's that kid that they had that's very much like a Tyreek Hill? And I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, I'm looking up their roster right this second. So,
yeah, I know they got Kadarius Toney. They got him from the Giants, and he's got a lot of potential. But there's that other kid who was very much in the mold of Tyreek Hill. Had the same type of speed, ran the same routes. When Tyreek Hill was out, he went in.
Mecole Hardman, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, Mecole Hardman is he is a good wide receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, he's I think they're not utilizing him as much.
He's inconsistent with his catching. I've seen him drop some balls that he should have catched. I think he's on the cusp. I think if Juju Smith-Schuster, now that he's spent a whole season on the team, and Mecole Hardman has gotten much better, but he's still not quite there. I think those two are going to be good for him next year.
Do you know who leads the league in drop passes?
No, do you have that stat, or do you want me to look it up?
No, I do have that stat.
Oh no, then go ahead. Tell me. I don't know who it is.
Mr. Travis Kelce leads the league in dropped passes.
Wow, that's disappointing.
Yeah, he's but now if you think about it, they're not taking him out of the lineup.
No way.
I think if they gave Hardman an opportunity, and from what I'm seeing, he may get an opportunity this coming week. But I don't know. I think they're underutilizing him, and he's got probably. I would never say anybody has as much talent as Tyreek Hill, but he's got a lot of the same tools to be able to go out there and make those plays. It'd be interesting to see what he would do, if they put him in those situations.
Yeah. I think he does. I think he needs some more opportunities. But it's hard. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they have that, quarterback tight end relationship that we've seen many times before. And it's hard to get a quarterback off that. You got a target who you can hit whenever you want. Although apparently not this season if he's leading dropped passes. So maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help Patrick Mahomes open up a little bit more. Patrick
Mahomes not have 3 interceptions in one game. Did you see the pass that he threw in that game? Like running towards the sidelines, didn't even look and just threw it across his body this way. It was the most absurd looking pass. And he completed it.
Oh, he does some weird stuff. Yeah, he does some weird stuff. Patrick Mahomes is leading the league in pass yards and touchdowns.
Yeah.
This so far this year.
Yeah, you know who else is up there? Speaking of standings for quarterbacks, if you're looking at yards right now, take a look at the top 5 in statistics wise for yards. We know Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Joe Burrow is killing it in Cincy. Justin Herbert.
Surprising
Justin Herbert. Only
I'm
because
surprised by Tom Brady. How is Tom Brady in the top 5 for yards?
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. Tom Brady is still up there, even though Mike Evans has dropped so many balls this year. Actually, a lot of his receivers are out there just dropping balls. You can't be consistent when every time you go out there, these guys can't catch.
Yeah.
And it's not just one receiver. It's all of them.
Yeah. And a little fun fact for everybody, Matt Ryan leads interceptions. Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's no surprise. Matty Ice.
Yeah,
Boston
I think his time is. I don't know why he's still going. I think after Atlanta, I think his time was done. Russell Wilson's certainly getting pummeled. He's got 43. He's been sacked 43 times. That is nuts.
Yeah, what's a really cool stat for Russell Wilson is he's played in 13 games and only has 11 touchdowns.
Yeah. Only 6 interceptions, but in terms of, he's just over 2,800 yards passing. So that's not even. I don't even think that's the top 10. I don't think that's in the top 10. And yeah, his stats are not looking, none too great, really.
Yeah, no, Tom Brady's throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball pretty good. But I mean, you got 2 guys that are consistently dropping the ball with Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette. Those guys are both up there in the league leaders for drop passes. But I'll tell you what, the Chargers are a sneaky team coming into the playoffs, man. People better watch out for the Chargers because their defense, they got a lot of big names on that defense. And Justin Herbert has them ready to go to the playoffs. They're actually the 9th ranked in the power rankings. They are the 9th ranked team right now. And last week they were the number 18. And they jumped 9 spots, which is the biggest jump of any team, I believe, in the power rankings this week. And the reason for that is all of a sudden they're healthy. All of a sudden, Justin Herbert has all of his receivers back. Mike Williams is back. I believe he caught a touchdown this week from Herbert. And you have the tight end who was injured for a little while. The pieces for San Diego are just starting to come together.
I have to correct you quick. They're in Los Angeles at the moment still.
What's that?
The Chargers. You said San Diego.
Oh, yeah, San Diego.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I mean, hey, listen, when you got between the Chargers, the Rams, and the Raiders, it's hard to know who is where.
Yeah,
at any given year. I mean,
they're still going to be
really
San
hard.
Diego to me, but I'll call them Los Angeles.
Yeah, Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the Rams are not Los Angeles; they're St. Louis.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and the Raiders are Oakland. So what do you say? I mean, Los Angeles, after not having any teams, have had 3 teams, and now one of them's in Vegas, and they still have 2 teams in Los Angeles. But I thought either the Chargers or the Rams, one of them teams, were going away in the next year or two, like going to a different city again. But it's hard with those 3 teams between San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. They've all been everywhere. All 3 of those teams.
You can move them to Mexico. I don't care. They're still going to be the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah. Or London, for that matter. What are your thoughts on a London team? What are your thoughts on the NFL expanding 2 more teams and putting a London team in?
I'm not too much for it. I like the National Football League, not the International Football League.
I can understand that. My chief concern was, I mean, do we have teams now that go from the East Coast, fly to the West Coast, and come back to the East Coast for a home game, then they're back out to the West Coast for another game? Could you imagine doing that from London? Because there's 6 time zones between our East Coast and London, I believe. So you'd be traveling. Imagine going from London to Los Angeles, back to London, then out to Seattle, and then back to London. That would be that I can't even imagine how hard that would be for a professional team to do. It's hard enough for them just to go across the country.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're gonna go to another country, I would think it would be Canada before anything. But Canada's got their own league up there, the Canadian Football League.
Sure, yeah, we can call it the Canadian Football League. Sure.
Well, I prefer to call it the Flutie football.
Yeah, I mean, the Canadian football, it's like NFL Europe. That there's a reason that didn't go over.
Right.
But I do think there are cities in Europe, and I do think that in some places football could be popular over there. But I think trying to get a team all the way across, I think you'd need an international NFL and then an NFL, and then maybe at the end of the season do like a tournament or something between the international and regular. But I think you're right. I think it has
the case. If every country was going to get a football league, we'd have to do the same thing that soccer does, and we'd have to have a World Cup every 4 years. Which we're going to talk about football, the real football. I was very sad to see Brazil and Portugal prematurely exit the World Cup. I had Brazil winning it all, but sad to see them go. Portugal, same thing. You have 2 of the best players in the world on those teams, and now I've got Argentina winning it all with Messi.
I am not familiar with soccer, so I'll have to yield to anything you say on that, because that's definitely not my thing. I'm not a soccer person at all.
Yeah.
And I call it soccer, not real football. Real football is what we're talking about here. So
yes.
That's my opinion on that. Before we get to where I have to take some things back that I said about the Eagles at the beginning of the season in an earlier episode, Tom Brady and Mac Jones. A lot of people have been comparing them because of Mac Jones replacing Tom Brady. What are your thoughts on that? Is Mac Jones doing a good enough job?
No, not at all.
Think they should have kept Brady?
I'm not sure who's really responsible for Brady leaving, but Brady definitely would have been an upgrade to what we have now, and Brady would have. But at the same time, I think a big part of what is wrong with Mac Jones has more to do with the fact that we have a defensive coordinator calling our offensive football plays.
Yeah. Some people can't do both. It's just like, just like some coordinators can't be coaches.
Yeah,
Each
there's
position,
actually been
each position has its own skill set.
Mac Jones has actually had some pretty good blow-ups on the sidelines with the offensive coordinator. And, when you look at the play calling, justifiably so.
Yeah. Mac Jones not doing very good. He's only got 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions this year. His accuracy is good, but we're only 10 games in, and it's not like he's thrown a bunch either. So he's been sacked 26 times.
Isn't very good when you got more interceptions than you got touchdowns.
Yeah. And he's been sacked 26 times. Tom Brady's only been sacked 18. Tampa Bay's doing a great job at keeping him protected, Tom Brady. 18 sacks, sure. But compared to some other quarterbacks in the league, Tom Brady could not handle being sacked, at this point, 28 or 30 times. I don't think.
Tom Brady's the number 4 quarterback as far as yards. So, even with guys dropping the ball, even with all of this stuff going on with Tampa Bay being where they are, I don't know if you can put it on Brady since, his statistics are there.
Yeah.
These guys the guys on the team just got to step up.
I was looking at the QB rating. I wanted to see who was Jalen Hurts is leading the QB rating list with Tua right behind him. And Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy G. It doesn't even look like, in terms of rating, it doesn't even look like Tom Brady or Mac Jones are even in the top 10 here in terms of rating. So they're definitely not on the top end of the QB picture this year.
No, your rating's going to drop when you're not completing passes that you should be completing.
And also interceptions. They'll kill your rating pretty quick too.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of the QB rating system. I think it's just a bunch of jumbled, it's just another stat that they decided they wanted to take a couple of stats and make a number out of it. That's all the QB rating is. It's just it's a combination of completed passes, attempted passes, touchdowns, and interceptions. That's what that number is.
Yep.
And I don't think it accurately measures quarterbacks sometimes. I think it's an inconsistent tool.
Yeah, it's more or less a complete look at a quarterback. And by complete look, it's just a way to look at all of the statistics rolled into one.
Again, you're not wrong. It's a complicated thing to figure out. But if you look at the QB rating, the highest QB rating is Jalen Hurts, and if you look at pass completion percentage and touchdowns to interception ratio, he crushes. He has that pretty much locked down.
Yeah, he's top 10 for yards. He's up there in a lot of categories. And when you look at touchdowns, total touchdowns, he's number 1.
6, right, in total touchdowns?
Total touchdowns would include his rushing touchdowns.
Oh, tied for 5th. Oh, you're right. Total touchdowns, not just passing touchdowns. I'm looking at the wrong stat. Yeah, I'm just looking at passing touchdowns. Yeah, passing touchdowns, he's tied for 5th with 22.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is a scrambler too. He is, and you know what? That's where we might as well get to it. At the beginning of the season, I said that I gave a lot of problems with the Eagles. I'm not a fan of. I wasn't a fan of the way the Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz issue went down. I'm a fan of Doug Peterson. I think he's a great coach, and I would have loved to have seen him stay with the Eagles for a long time. I think he could have brought us more Super Bowl rings. But Nick, you can't argue with the way Jalen Hurts has progressed from last season to this season, and Nick Sirianni has this team firing on all cylinders at this point. There's no denying that. I can be a bitch and complain all I want, but they're 12-1, and Jalen Hurts is crushing it.
So Jalen Hurts threw for just over 200 yards in the last game. Didn't throw any interceptions, and threw 2 touchdowns. And he also ran for 77 yards and a touchdown. But the big thing about the Eagles in the last game this past weekend was the fact that they scored 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders went in for 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball 17 times for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Boston Scott even got in on the action with 33 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, Miles Sanders also top 5. He's already over 1,000 yards, and he's number 5 on the rushing list. So, he is.
You have
season.
You have 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and that's not even what was so great about that Eagles game. Because what I thought was probably one of the biggest things about that game was that they had 7 sacks. 3 of them were from Graham.
Yeah, the Eagles defense, man. Yeah, man, they're just looking monstrous too, man.
7
That's what I'm saying. The Eagles are
fumble recovery. That is insane.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni he's got this team firing on all cylinders. I just want to point out though, between Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts, they have 21 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns only rushing.
How many does Hurts have?
He's got 10. Miles Sanders has 11.
Oh, so actually total touchdowns, he's down. He's just below Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has more touchdowns than Jalen Hurts.
Total touchdowns you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has 33 passing touchdowns, and then has hold on, I'm trying to get the rushing stats here. How many did you say he had? Oh, right there, 2. He's only got 2. He's only got 2 rushing touchdowns, Patrick Mahomes. So he's not. Even though Patrick Mahomes can get out there and scramble a little bit, he's actually not been needing to do that really the last couple of seasons. I mean, he's got some legs; he can get out there and move a little bit. But the way he's progressed inside the pocket,
I would take Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes every day of the week. And why would I take Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes, 35 total touchdowns, right?
Yep.
But he's got 11 interceptions.
Yep.
11.
Yep.
In the playoffs, that is going to kill you.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. He does have a lot of interceptions compared to Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts leads the NFL right now in starting quarterbacks. He only has 3.
Yeah.
So when you protect the ball and you play really good defense, you're not going to lose.
But I would like to point out, though, that since you're talking about protecting the football, Jalen Hurts may only have, 3 interceptions?
Yep.
But he also has 5 rushing fumbles.
Yeah.
So protecting the ball, yes. And what I would say is, and while Jalen Hurts can certainly get out there and scramble and move, and rushing touchdowns are great for him, he does need to, when he gets outside the pocket, he clearly needs to make sure he's protecting the ball.
So imagine that, though. We add his fumbles to his interceptions, and he's still less than just Patrick Mahomes' interceptions.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. He is doing a damn good job of protecting the ball. Absolutely. But I think, and if he can stop fumbling the ball when he's rushing, then I think that makes him an elite quarterback. I'll likely be trying.
And
to
I'll tell you what,
draft next
when
year.
you put those 2 numbers together, take a look at all the interceptions that all the starting quarterbacks have had, and you have to combine his fumbles and his interceptions, and he's still number 1.
Yeah. He has been. His progression
nuts.
from last year to this year has been just amazing.
There's only one guy with less that would have less interceptions than he has interceptions and fumbles, and that's Tua. But Tua was injured for a few games.
Yeah, I mean, his stats. Listen, he's at 13 games in this season. He's already got more yards than he threw in his previous 2 seasons. His average is higher than his previous 2 seasons. He's already got way more touchdowns. He's got as many touchdowns this season as he had the last 2 seasons. Only 3. He's been pretty good. Last year, Jalen Hurts was not as good with interceptions. This year, his first year, and this year he's been phenomenal with interceptions. His sacks are really high this year, or a little much higher this year. So that's a little concerning to me. And his QB rating is higher than it is the last 2 years. His progression from the last 2 years to now has been amazing. I'm very impressed with the way he's progressed.
Number one
Nick
in
Sirianni.
rating, number one in interceptions, total touchdowns, number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this guy is just off the charts, and he's probably, watching him play is like, my generation, we watched Michael Vick and we thought that was phenomenal. This guy is like Michael Vick, but he can actually throw the ball and read a defense.
Yeah. Well, the comparison that I would probably use for that type of thing would have been Randall Cunningham, probably.
Yeah.
That's how far back I go with the Eagles. I'm a Randall Cunningham fan. It was terrible to see him wearing a Dallas uniform briefly, but it was also great to see him playing at that time too. So, and yeah, you're right. Jalen Hurts, after seeing him this year, the way he has changed from his first 2 years to this year has been amazing. And I am very turned around on him. I wasn't convinced on him last year, even at the beginning of this year, but this year seeing him play and what he's been able to do has really shocked me. So I'm on board with Jalen Hurts.
And I'll tell you what, next year, I'm looking at Justin Fields over in Chicago. I think he's gonna play the same role for Chicago that Jalen Hurts played for Philly this year.
That's interesting.
Chicago has a pretty decent team to build around this kid, and as good as I'm talking about Jalen Hurts right now, I think Justin Fields can be even better.
Justin Fields, huh? That's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that then and see where he goes. I haven't gotten to see Justin Fields play, so I can't comment on like his play in terms of, because I haven't seen him yet. Just I'm looking at his stats right now.
He's freaking.
I had to scroll to the second page in order to find him though. So
he had like back-to-back games where he ran for like 150 yards. Well, pretty close to 150 yards in both games.
In today's NFL, that's a quarterback who can get the job done and get wins. That's what a team needs. They just need wins. And today's NFL is really competitive, actually. So despite some teams being, like the Eagles 12-2 and the Texans 1-11-1.
Yeah.
There's a lot
in the middle. What's funny is the Bears just slipped out of the number 2 spot for the draft next year. So they're going to have a pretty decent draft pick no matter what next year. And depending on where they go to build around this kid, man, he is an absolute phenom. He's impossible to defend against.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Texans, the Bears, and the Broncos are going to be the top 3 picks in next year's draft.
Yeah, don't forget about the Colts.
Where are they? Oh, the Colts. Oh, yeah, they're 4-8-1. So, yeah, I guess they would be next in line. The Colts and then the Rams. But I think the Rams are going to turn things around, especially if they stick with Baker Mayfield. It's so weird that Baker Mayfield and Matt Stafford are on the same team. That's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Just seems bizarre. It seems weird.
But I'll tell you what, there's one guy that we haven't talked about who had an absolutely just bonkers debut in the NFL, and that's the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers this past week. Purdy. Brock Purdy.
I don't know him.
Yeah, he had his debut starting and absolutely lit it up. Like, I was watching this game, and this kid was phenomenal.
Wow.
You would think that they were going to, go out there and call a very safe game for him. And nope. They were very, very aggressive, and this kid pulled it off.
Is Jimmy G hurt?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear that he got hurt.
Yeah, everybody thought that the 49ers were going to drop because of that, but no. This kid Brock, because of the game that he just played, the power rankings just brought the 49ers from the 7th ranked team to the 2nd ranked team with Brock Purdy. They're ranked number 2 behind the Eagles.
I'll have to look for him then. I'll have to look and see if I can see a 49ers game this next weekend and see.
And I'll tell you what, that is going to be the NFC title with the Eagles and the 49ers, dude. Because both of those teams got offense and both of those teams got defense.
So the Bills and the Chiefs for the AFC is the prediction for me on the AFC. You're saying the Eagles and the 49ers. I think it could be the Eagles and the Cowboys.
You pushed out the Bengals, huh? Cincy.
I don't think the Bengals. Yeah, I know that they're doing good and stuff, but no, I don't think they make it this time. I think it's the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC. I don't think the Ravens make it either. I think it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs, and I do think it'll be the Eagles. I thought it was going to be the Vikings, but since they've been,
you know that the Bengals have beat the Chiefs the last 3 games in a row.
I wonder if they're going to face each other here.
They just did.
I meant in the playoffs. Like I meant in the playoffs. Like if they ended up in the playoffs, the seeds. But it all depends on the seeds and where they're seated in terms of who plays who in the playoffs. But I think in the AFC it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs, and I think on the NFC I think it'll be the Eagles and the. I don't know if the Eagles and the Cowboys can end up in the championship game, but I haven't seen dude play for the new quarterback for the 49ers play. So I would say the Eagles and the Cowboys for the NFC, Bills and the Chiefs for the AFC, and I think it'll end up being the Eagles and the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Who did the Rams beat in the Super Bowl last year?
You know what? I don't even think I can tell you off the top of my head. I'd probably have to look it up. Oh wait, they beat the Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Joe Burrow. Don't count out Joe Burrow, man. This kid is absolute fire.
Yeah,
and now that Jamar Chase is back, Jamar Chase has been out for several games. Now that Jamar Chase is back, this past game, they beat up on the Browns. Jamar Chase came back, 10 catches, 119 yards, and a touchdown. And that was with the number 2 and number 3 wide receiver going down.
Yeah, he's Joe Burrow. Yeah, he's good too. There's a lot of really great quarterbacks right now, and Joe Burrow is definitely one of them. So is Lamar Jackson for
I
have.
I 100%. I 100% have the Bengals over the Chiefs. 100%. The Chiefs cannot even beat the Bengals. The last 3 games they've played them, the Chiefs have lost.
Well, that certainly helps for your stat, but I still think the Chiefs and the Bills in the championship, and the Bills go to the Super Bowl. And on the
AFC game is going to be the Chiefs and the Bills.
Chiefs and the Bills, and the NFC game will be the Eagles and the boys. Although I might amend that for after I watch the quarterback for the Niners play, but I did not see him play, so I could not. With Jimmy G out, I wouldn't pick the Niners. So,
I got AFC for the AFC game. I got the Chiefs and the Bengals, and I got the Eagles and the 49ers for the NFC.
and what do you think the Super Bowl will be out of those 4 teams?
100%. It's going to be the Bengals against the Eagles.
Bengals and the Eagles. That's not a bad Super Bowl either. I would take that. I'll take any Super Bowl with the Eagles in it, buddy. Especially after being that they just won a couple years ago. I love seeing them back in the hunt already for another Super Bowl win.
You know, another team that we've kind of ignored in this broadcast is the Cowboys. And you know that if there's any Cowboys fans watching,
there
like
is.
Matt.
Yep, Ms. Pop, my co-host, Ms. Pop, my executive producer for our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast, and he does a number of things for the Mayhem side as well, including helping me host episodes. He's a Cowboys fan, and I think the Cowboys they have a really good team, and that's why I picked them for the championship, but they don't have everything working together yet. I don't think there's still something.
Well, they're finally healthy. They finally get all their players back.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just a couple of things that's not clicking for them. And I think it has to do with the coaches, the ownership, and some of the play calling. I think that's where some of their problems are. I don't think it's a problem with personnel. I think they got an all-star team, and I think there's no reason that they shouldn't be, competing for the Super Bowl for the next couple of years. But I think some of the problems, whether it's coaching, ownership, play calling, it's somewhere in there. And I think that's what'll keep them out.
I think they got a great 1-2 punch with Zeke and Pollard.
Yeah, well, they don't use them right though. That's my whole That's my point though with the play calling.
Pollard, I would be giving Pollard the ball more than I'd be giving it to Zeke. And
Zeke really went downhill. Yeah, I was a huge Zeke fan.
They gave Zeke the ball 15 times. And they only gave Pollard the ball 10 times.
That's not enough. With those two guys, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying, Dave. With those two guys, they should each be carrying the ball 25 times a game. There's no reason not to do that. There's no reason not to be running 50, 60 times with Pollard and Zeke every single game.
Pollard's great catching the ball as well. Did you see the touchdown that he scored in this last game where he got the ball, went to the sidelines? Somebody came over to hit him out of bounds. He was evasive enough so that they didn't hit him out of bounds, and then he tiptoed down the line and scored a touchdown, like just walking down the line. Tiptoe. It was all balance. I mean, this dude, he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. He's pretty much the reason why the Cowboys didn't drop in the rankings further than they did. They actually dropped down from the number 2 spot, which is where the 49ers now sit, to the number 6 spot.
Yeah. I think with Pollard and Zeke, there's no reason not to be running the ball 50, 60 times a game. There's absolutely no reason for it. Both of them can handle that load. Both of them are capable. And if Zeke's not capable, you need to find that out now. I was a big Ezekiel Elliott fan. I think he's had potential to be one of the best runners that we were going to see in a while, but this last 2 seasons, he really just hasn't. I don't know if it's a drive or if it's his will or what happened, but he's really dropped off. I've not been impressed. Or is it play calling? That's what I'm saying. Is it play calling? Are they just not calling the right runs for him? Maybe.
Could be how he reads the field as well. Because Tony Pollard's getting the ball and Pollard's making, he's making his money. He's eating.
Yeah. Pollard's going to be huge. Yeah. I mean, that's why I don't see the Cowboys keeping both Pollard and Zeke as soon as one of their contracts are up. Either Pollard's going to want too much money and they'll have to let him go somewhere else, or they're going to keep him and then they'll try and trade Zeke or try and renegotiate Zeke. I don't think Zeke's worth what they're paying him now. I think they picked up Pollard. I think they re-signed Zeke for a huge deal because he was going to be the runner. They picked up Pollard, who turned out, Pollard's likely better for whatever reason. And now they're stuck with an expensive Ezekiel Elliott, and he's not getting it done the way he should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would ditch Zeke and sign Pollard to a decent contract. You don't have to pay Pollard, most money of any running back.
Like Zeke's money. Yeah, like what Zeke's getting paid, because he was looking like he was going to be the future for the Cowboys for the next 7 years. So you lock him into a long deal, pay him a bunch of money so he doesn't go anywhere. But now he's not the
True
guy.
money hole is what he is.
Yep. He hasn't been. He has absolutely not been producing. So I think Zeke gets cut, and he
that
ends up going
kills
somewhere else.
That kills the rest of the team because you can't sign the guys that you need to sign. I mean, you just played against the Houston Texans and you had 0 freaking sacks, man. 0 sacks and only 1 pick. Come on.
Yeah.
That is horrible. And that is why you're not going anywhere in the playoffs.
Yeah, you could be right. They could lose in the first round. They might do that.
They got an offense. They got a great offense, but offense does not win Super Bowls, man.
No, offense wins games. Defense wins championships.
Yep.
I think we said that in the last episode, and I think that's a great place to finish this episode as well. Offense wins games, and defense wins you championships, and you need both in order to be successful in today's NFL.
What's really scary is Tom Brady right now is sitting with another chance to go to the Super Bowl.
I don't care if he goes. He ain't winning another Super Bowl. I don't believe that the Bucs are going to win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. So even if they make it, I don't think. Yeah, I'd love to see.
I'd let him get bounced in the first round too. But if he does win that first game, that'll be pretty funny.
I hope he makes it to the championship. I hope it's the Eagles and the Bucs in the championship, and I hope the Eagles beat Tom Brady just like they did in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you share this episode out. If you enjoy it, please share it out. Leave us a comment on everything we said here in this episode. If you disagree with us or agree with us. What's your thoughts on Patrick Mahomes, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts? Who's the best quarterback? Besides Tom Brady, who's going to be the next big guy? Who's the next big name? Leave us a comment. We'll discuss it in an episode of the new year because this is going to be the last episode of 2022 for Mayhemtainment. I am going to be officially going on my Christmas break, and so we'll be back sometime in the new year. At the very least, we'll be doing a Super Bowl episode, so look for that. That won't be till February, but we'll probably have Roos back on sometime in January to do one more NFL episode before we get to the Super Bowl. Check out our sister show, The Boiling Point Podcast, available on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. There will be a Christmas episode released on Christmas from them, and there will be at least another episode in this year before I go on break for that show. And we're nearing episode 100 on the Boiling Point Podcast. That'll be early in the new year. We're planning potentially our first live episode, so look for that. For David Roos, as I like to call him, no, he is not a Bolton. I am your host, JD, and that's the end.
Yeah, but